Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Spectrum of Hurdles. Our special guest today is Sam Mitchell. Hi, Sam. How are you?
Hey, buddy. Good to be here. Thanks for having me on again.
Okay. Ed, do you have any questions for our special guests?
What's been up with you lately? What's been up with me lately? Well, just schoolwork. Where our gala's coming up. I think I mentioned that to Shane previously on March 30th. It's our fourth annual one. It's our way of saying the realm of the nonprofit world.
Awesome. And you run an organization, a nonprofit called Autism Rocks and Rolls, correct?
Yep. So what Autism Rocks and Rolls is mainly it's a podcast about autism and how we cope with daily struggles that you may or may not understand.
Hmm.
Through the podcast, it's grown six members. I'm an event planner in Indiana, is where I'm from. I also do motivational speaking services. I've spoken in Oklahoma, Orlando 3 times, Canada twice, Stewart, Florida, and Washington, D.C.
Oh, nice. You spoke in Orlando?
3 times, yes.
Okay. What conference? Because we live in Orlando.
Oh, well, what do you know? I've done it through the Card Conference in Orlando. I did it through Podfest in Orlando. And what was the other time? There was another time. I just came around the conference, unfortunately.
Gotcha.
Oh, United Schools Work Conference. There it was.
Okay, yeah, we just spoke at the card conference this past year.
Oh, what do you know? Tell my friends I said hi.
Yeah. Anyway, so what are your goals for Autism Rocks and Rolls?
Well, the goal is to get it on a big platform because at the end, I want it to be honestly as big as Goodwill because I want people to understand that this condition isn't really a death sentence and it
Right.
doesn't need to be treated like that. Yet there's still some people out there that do.
Exactly. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's still out there in the world. But it's because of people like you and me and all of us, to be honest, that we're getting the awareness out there.
Now, what do you, Cam? What do you feel is the hardest part of growing your either your business or just growing your making? What is the hardest part of making this company work for you? Do you think making it grow bigger?
I think the hardest part is um making it grow in the promotion because there are some people out there who still don't want to take the time because their life is too busy,
Right.
which is understandable. But I still think they need to take some time to learn about autism.
Yeah. I mean, promotion is a big part of how to be successful.
It really is. And that's probably sometimes my biggest complaint. And some people don't like me for it, but it's the only way I know how is I
Mhm.
literally will not shut up about it.
Yeah. Got to get yourself out there. I mean, too much is never enough.
Exactly. Exactly.
Now, what are your words to say for people who think that autism is a disease, quote unquote, is a horrible way of life? Where me and Shane have been promoting for about 2 years now that you can do anything by leaping, little bits, but there are still some people who think that we can't do anything. What do you say to those people?
You're wrong. You are 100% wrong. And you're living in a delusional world because there's been people that have proven your statement wrong. There's evidence to back it up. We can look at Temple Grandin because she's doing stuff right now. We can look at people like myself because I'm doing stuff right now. We even have Cody Lee who won America's Got Talent. And you're saying he can't do anything? Seriously?
Yep. Cody Lee,
I know.
I wanted to see him when I went out in Vegas, so I wasn't able to. But yeah, he's been a true inspiration for the autism community. Uh, I've always said, and I've told Shane this, one of the biggest hurdles we have to define is everybody thinks that we as people on the spectrum, we want to be treated as everybody else. And the problem with that is if we're treated like everybody else, we're going to be in big trouble. We do need help in little ways. Everybody needs some help. We have to realize that. But once you do realize that, we can do whatever we want.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's 100% true right there, man. Everyone has some capability, regardless of the smallest task of life, even if it is, such as getting the mail every day. It's something.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. All right. Now, the golden question. What is the biggest hurdle you have encountered in your entire nonprofit career?
Probably the biggest hurdle I've had to go through in nonprofit career is getting it started because
Mm,
it grew quicker than expected. But getting this podcast started, I'm no audio engineer and working with technology and soundboards. As much as I get it when a soundboard is set up, I don't get it when a soundboard is not set up.
hmm Yeah, I totally feel you. Yeah, like what was happening earlier today, to be honest, technology can either love you or hate you.
Yeah, it really can. And I get it with broadcasting, but that really does stress me out. It actually happened when I was getting interviewed on a radio station I used to intern at. For a minute, the station went down and no one heard anything. And
Oh, no.
they couldn't do anything about it other than restart the board. But in their heads, they were screaming. And that was me. I would have been like literally screaming. I would have been in panic mode slash crisis
Nope.
mode.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I would do the same thing.
Now, those are hurdles that your company has overcome, but what personal hurdles in your life that you overcome?
Well, I would say personal hurdles is socializing. My social skills aren't the best when it comes to like group conversations, but
Huh?
Mhm.
it's definitely, I think, improved compared to what it was once upon a time. But it's still, eh.
That's
Yeah.
that's fair. That's a fair assessment, and it's the realizing the fact that your social skills are up this quarter vote and stuff is a very big thing. A lot of people on the spectrum don't realize that they don't talk that well. They don't socialize that well. And once you do realize that, it just goes up from there. You know what to work with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it did stink to learn that, okay, my social skills do stink. But here's what happens. If I dwell on it, it's not going to get any better. Or even if I improve, I see, okay, it's going to be, I won't say better, but I'd rather have it managed than down the drain.
Right.
Exactly. Oh.
So
What
another
advice?
question. Oh, you go ahead.
Sorry. I said, what advice would you give those on the spectrum who are struggling with the social aspect of it?
Well, I think social aspect was what I've learned through my lifetime is there's a lot of people on earth. I think two may need to count on one hand, as we can all agree. So you get to a point where you're not understanding social skills and you believe no one's gonna find you interesting. Baloney. Someone's gonna find you interesting. It may not be the person who you expected, but it's someone. It may not be your 13-year-old ideal friend, but it might be a teacher. It might be a fellow podcaster. It might be a college student. It might be your grandmother. It might be your grandfather. It might be your aunt, or it might even be your next door neighbor, or it might be someone you meet along the way in Washington, or even in Orlando. Someone's going to find you interesting. It's just
Do you find
impossible to not.
do you find it easier having people finding it interesting when people are on the spectrum or finding it? Is it easier to make friends with people off the spectrum or on the spectrum?
Surprisingly, I think yes, it is to make friends easier that's on the spectrum because you understand why they're doing this. And, I think autism sometimes can be misconcepted to those who aren't. And I do have
Mhm.
friends that aren't on a spectrum, but I'm very nitpicky on those friends too because they don't understand what's going on. But
Mhm.
the majority of my friends are autistic like I am. And I think it's because we have that similar background. And it makes me remember I wasn't the only one feeling this.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Now, would you agree, Sam, that everyone on the spectrum has the right to be nitpicky because there's so many different levels on the spectrum?
I would say it's not because of the levels, although we get into that if you want to. There is a spectrum. Obviously, we know that there's some who might have the mindset of 3-year-olds where they need higher support needs than some other people. There's some who is in the middle of the road where, okay, they don't move out of the house, but they go get a job. And then there's some like me who can go, can go to college and probably get a job, just might not understand certain social skills.
Right.
But that's not why I'm nitpicking. I'm nitpicking because of trust.
Right.
Be it from the personal perspective, more people have thrown me out the window than kept me. And it's still like that to this day. And I don't want to make a friend to where the next day it's, oh, who are you again?
Mhm.
Right. Understandable.
Definitely understandable. One issue I personally had, and I've been working in this myself, but sometimes I tell myself I'm autistic and I can't do this. I feel down on myself because I know I have the spectrum. What advice do you give those who do feel down on themselves to say, "Hey, go out there and get it"? How do you get over that?
Ooh, I done that, but well, and I've done that a couple times and I got ripped a new one. But I think there are people out there who do use it as an excuse and stop that because that's not fair because there are some people who can't do stuff because of the autism.
Mhm.
Let's be 100% honest.
Yeah.
But here's my thing too. Have you tried? And there's something I'm from a generation where, okay, if you try for 2 hours and you don't know, you don't know. I mean, back in
Right.
before it was my time, we had people who would stay up in the field 5 hours trying to figure something out on maybe a piece on on a piece of farm equipment. With me, with my generation, I'll try for a good while, but if I don't know, I don't know. Now the problem is in today's age, they're giving up too easy. After 3 minutes, they're throwing out the towel. No,
Yeah.
I think you need to be in the middle where it's okay. You try for a great time, but definitely try your best and hopefully you get the result you want. But if you don't know, you literally don't know and you
Mm.
can't ask for help.
Right. And it can be difficult to find that fine line of, okay, well, I can't do it because I'm autistic, or you literally like you cannot do it. I mean, not everybody can do everything, unfortunately. That's the reality of it. And that's actually part of
You try to put me through a drive through, for example, it ain't gonna go well
Mhm.
because I'm gonna hear blah 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 in one ear and in the other ear blah 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 blah. And then the other and in my brain that's so overstimulating, I cannot do that. Like
Yeah.
if someone told me, "Hey, you're working the drive-through," I'd be like, "Okay," but I'm gonna be honest with you. You do this to me, it's not gonna go well.
Mhm.
Well, realizing that is a big part. The fact that you do
Right.
realize that makes it better for you. A lot of people don't even realize that you're getting overstimulated. Um, in relation, when we first started doing our YouTube series, we had like stumbling questions, things like that. It took us a while, but now Shane's one of the best interviewers I've seen, and I think I've grown as an interviewer. Well,
Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, it has improved. I'll put it that way.
but
Well, say the trick with the interviews, what I've learned, and this is just from my perspective and here in the media and doing interviews, this is what I've learned the most. What really strikes and people don't see this, and this is just like I said, my opinion. If you have your own view, I totally get it. The follow-up questions. That's where you hit the mark. I mean, you can ask someone, what does having autism mean to you? They probably been asked that 100 times, but then you can nitpick it to what they
Yeah.
say. Make you go like, okay, what does having autism mean to you? Well, to me, it means having meltdowns. Okay, I know you said it before, but why is that important to you?
yeah,
Never been asked that
Kind
before.
of right to dissect everything.
yeah, I agree with that. That's why I said that question about hurdles earlier. I wanted to follow up with making it on a personal level compared to full level.
Right.
How has your life changed by becoming a motivational speaker?
I would say life has changed for me because I get opportunities that I didn't think I would have. I was a keynote speaker in Dales, West Virginia. I mean, who gets to be a keynote speaker? I know there's a lot of people on this earth and maybe half do, but I get to live opportunities that some don't get to say they have that opportunity. I know a friend right now. I know for a fact he has not spoken on stage and be a keynote speaker. I'm not trying to say, ha ha, I was a speaker, you weren't. But at the same time, I know that I get to live opportunities that others don't.
All right. And that's, you have to take pride in yourself.
and I'm very happy about it. And I hope that Friend May one day can get to a motivational speaker level. But for right now, it's just truthful. He hasn't.
Right. I mean, the same thing with us. We haven't been keynote speakers yet, but I do think one day we will be. Got to stay positive.
Absolutely. We're going to be in the summertime speaking at one of the biggest autism conferences in the United States of America in Orlando. That's Family Cafe. And
Mhm.
we get our chance to promote our positivity, to promote our confidence to thousands of people. And there, whether thousands come see us, I doubt that, but there'll be many people there. And
Yeah,
it's hard. It's hard to do that sometimes when you know, when you know you have struggles, but we have fun with it. That's what I think the biggest thing. We have fun.
exactly.
And at the end of the day, too, I know this with nonprofit, it's not about the money, it's about the work.
Right.
Like if you're doing a nonprofit, you better shoot this, you better get off the mind of your head. I'm going to be a multimillionaire.
Mhm.
That's not the case. You're doing it for the Lord and for charity purposes.
Hmm. So, have you been to the Family Cafe, Sam?
I have not. You know, surprisingly, even with 3 times being in Orlando, I haven't even been to the Universal Studios or Disneyland yet.
We make that happen somehow. If you're coming to Orlando, we'll find a way to make that happen, hopefully.
Yeah.
I'm terrible. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. From what I've heard, and this is just from people's experiences, Disney has been overrated. From what I've heard, if someone has never experienced, that's totally fine. I get it. But from what I've heard, Universal Studios was the way to go.
I agree.
Right. Like, because Universal is for more mature audiences when Disney is like kind of more for families and for kids. I mean, all the parks are for families, obviously, but yeah, just Disney is aimed towards the younger generation. And there's nothing wrong with that. And there are adults like me who still do enjoy it. I'm not going to be ashamed of it, but yeah, Universal is the way to go.
Yeah.
I think.
And I do have a kid instinct. So I also feel like I would enjoy Disney because I do have an inner child. But if you don't have an inner child in you, yeah, Universal's probably the way to go.
I would say most autistic people have an inner child, though. From what I've seen, I might be generalizing, but I've seen most of them have an inner child in them.
You're probably are generalizing, but I think that's a fair assumption to make.
Mhm.
So, what's next on the horizon for you?
Well, obviously the gala that's coming up, but we definitely have some other stuff coming along the line, which actually, if you give me a few minutes, I can go to my website and pull up what's coming along. Because on my website, I have an event page that tells you literally what's going on. But the some stuff that I do remember is we're having a book in the works. And I know my camera, I'm going to turn that here in a minute. But we have a book in the works that's in the hands of a publisher, some Iron on the
Nice.
Fire too. We have educational modules coming up that's going to help newly diagnosed parents get to show them that, again, autism's not dreaded news. It can be a beauty, really a beautiful day and a beautiful hour, as they used to say, a beautiful day in the neighborhood. But to get into specifics here, let me see. So what's coming up down the line right now is so our gala, I actually got invited to speak at a summit called the Day of Calm. It's I think a summit about mental health and calming people down, apparently. If I had to guess, I'm actually not for sure. And then I get to be a vendor for the Square Circle Expo. It's a professional wrestling comic, not comic, professional wrestling convention in Indiana. And I went there a couple years ago for fun, but I decided next year, even though against my idea or against other ideas, was to be a vendor. And it actually worked out well. It worked out so well. We're going back. And then I also get to be a vendor for an Elk Part. They're having a Hall of Heroes Comic Con. It's like a Comic Con superhero convention. I get to be a vendor and I'm going to try to help people understand why autism is actually, instead of a death sentence, a disease, a superpower.
Right. Exactly.
Watch, not too horny about. Shane may not have told you or not. I actually was a former professional wrestler. and I used the a lot of my autism as a superpower. You're absolutely correct. I think one of the biggest things you can do as an autistic person, as any person actually, is to escape your life. And that's what these conventions are for. That's what professional wrestling was for me, and it looks like you're doing wonderful doing that.
Oh yeah, it's fun. I've had several wrestlers on the show. I've had Mick Foley on. I've had Buff Bagwell, Kane, Al Snow, RVD, Raven, Victoria.
I'm not even good friend. Wonderful man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, RVD's a pretty cool guy. And Jake the Snake.
Mhm.
That's an
Very
interview. Jake
nice.
the Snake is a very smart man.
He is a smart man. Trying if I miss, I feel like there's another wrestler I'm missing. Did I say Kane already? Or
Yes.
No,
okay.
yeah.
I guess I'm not missing anyone.
Well, cool.
And it's good that you're saying this to give other people, who don't think they can go out and do anything. You are a role model for them. You are the one saying, "Hey, go out and do it," and we thank you for that.
I I appreciate that, man. And just some people need help, and sometimes what people also don't get to is the anxiety of social conventions or social communication. Like, okay, sometimes getting a girl's phone number. Let's be honest. That's nervous for some people in general without autism. Take that times 1,000 and imagine how that feels.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Ugh.
Well, we'd like to thank you for coming out today and doing this interview with us.
Well, thank you for letting me come on, man. I had a blast.
Pop no. And for those of you in YouTube land, if you like what you saw in this video, please subscribe to our channel, like
Mhm.
this video, and if you want any notifications, click notification bell. We're out here trying to help you be the best person you can be.
And we're going to be attaching Sam's website and all his contact information below in the link. Stay tuned. Well, alrighty, Sam. Thank you for being on Spectrum of Hurdles. I hope you enjoyed it.
Of course I enjoyed it, man. I had a blast. I can't go wrong with these two guys. Check out their information too. Just like me, they're doing really good work as well.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Alrighty. We'll catch you guys later.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.